Hello everybody, Tim Buckley with you, Chief Meteorologist here at WFMY. Thank you to those watching on my Facebook page. We do this every night on my Facebook page, just kind of chat back and forth about the weather, even when it's calm. But also thank you for those watching on the WFMY News 2 Facebook page as well. We're going to talk about the winds. We are expecting this. We've been talking really for several days about high winds hitting our area for tonight. It's just starting to happen, and really it's been going already for a couple of hours, but we have several hours left to go. So what I want to do here is kind of let you know what's going on. I do want to hear what you're feeling and hearing and seeing in your communities. So if you're able to, while we're chatting along here and going back and forth over the next 15 to 20 minutes, if you could include sort of like a little report for your area, just kind of tell me what it's doing in your neck of the woods, and always include that location, because when you include a specific location, we don't want your street address. Okay, let's be safe about it. But if you say, hey, I'm on the east side of Kernersville, that's going to help me, and it's going to help everyone else know who's watching along, you know, what's going on. So thanks for being here. We're going to talk about this weather. And we're already seeing those gusty winds, certainly. So let's get right to it. I'll pop up the graphics on here so you can see them. And away we go. So when we talk about wind, there are two ways to measure wind, right? So we have winds that we would consider to be sustained winds, where they're constant, they're not really wavering from that number. And that's kind of the minimum, right? So if you're sustained at about 10 or 15 miles per hour, the wind is always blowing at that speed, basically, and occasionally it might get higher. That's when we talk about a wind gust. A gust is you're going away from the sustained wind and you're getting a lot higher, but it doesn't last long. So what I'm showing you right now are our current, as of 10 o'clock, sustained winds across the area. So this is for our Piedmont Triad area. Notice very low sustained winds in the foothills. You actually haven't had too much wind over there, but it's been very windy already from Winston to Reedsville to Burlington, Greensboro, Asheboro, this whole area that's shaded in. 10 to 20 mile per hour sustained winds, that's very windy. That's something that's significant. And usually the wind gust is going to be close to 1.5 times or even double the sustained wind. So when you see this, it's not a surprise. We're seeing gusty winds that are already between 30 and 40 miles per hour. So it's no surprise. It's probably very loud across much of where you are. I'm in a big office building here, so it's not that loud for me. But I know if I were at home, my house would be creaking and making a bunch of noise. And I'm sure that's what you're dealing with. And I'd love to tell you it's not going to be like that overnight. But it's better to just be truthful and just say it is going to be loud pretty much all night, okay? You're going to have these gusty winds, you're going to have the creaking noises that aren't so comfortable. That's going to be there basically all night long, okay? And if you know that, maybe it'll help you sleep a little better, or you can just kind of stay here with us and we'll keep you updated. But bottom line, we are expecting these gusty winds that are already happening, 30 to 40. They're going to continue through at least about 4 to 6 in the morning or so, all right? That's why we have the wind advisory. That wind advisory is going all along until about 7 in the morning. So we are not getting rid of this super quickly. A couple of visuals here. It's always hard to see wind because it's invisible, but if you have something like a flag, we can visualize this. Our Burlington tower camera happens to have some flagpoles right in front of it, and we're noticing right now a lot of them, unfortunately, I hate to see this with the American flag, but state flag too, it's wrapped around the flagpoles a little bit. They've been really stretched out the last couple of hours. In Greensboro, I've been noticing our tower camera shaking a little bit. Winston-Salem, similar. High Point is, bouncing around a little bit from time to time. But overall, this is kind of what we're dealing with. And we're going to see this continue overnight tonight. Temperatures are very warm. Why is that? Well, we have a huge cold front on the way. So when you have a cold front coming in, we have these southerly winds ahead of it, and that's what's making it so warm right now. We're still in the 60s, close to 70 degrees. So where's all this rain that we've been talking about? Well, it's still pretty far away. Not really expecting much of anything until midnight to 1 a.m. In our area for rainfall. But there is heavy rain on the way. It's not super long lasting, but we'll get a couple of hours of it. We've noticed it's already pushed through Mississippi, moved through Alabama earlier today. They did have a couple of tornado warnings. Thankfully, haven't really seen any damage, which is good. In the Atlanta area, they have downpours just to the north of us right now. Similar story from Asheville and over toward Pigeon Forge. There was also a brush fire in Pigeon Forge tonight, and it's good that they're getting this rainfall. That should help to put that out. But bottom line, the rain is just now starting to reach the North Carolina mountains. So it's making better progress to get a little bit closer to our area. So I would expect that we're on track for our time frame that we've been mentioning throughout the day. Midnight to 4 a.m., probably your best chance for rain. That still looks to be holding true. A couple of very scattered light rain showers are in Mount Airy and Surrey County, but we're seeing really most of the heavy rain is still at the mountains or just on the other western side of them. So we've got a little ways to go. Now, with a setup like this, when you get downpours, it might be able to make the winds stronger. So the same time frame that we are expecting the rain, that's the same time frame I would expect the winds to be at their gustiest. So between about midnight and 4 a.m. is when we could expect that to happen. Here's a look at Futurecast. This is just a model estimate, so it's not precise. This is just kind of a guide, a simulation to see what would happen. Between midnight, then 1 a.m. here, by 2 a.m. we're starting to see the really gustier downpours moving into our area. It is possible you could have a clap of thunder, maybe some lightning in here, but overall our threat for thunderstorms is pretty low because we don't have a lot of fuel for those tonight. This is around 3 in the morning, and then by 4 we're starting to see that main band push off to our east. So that's kind of the end of the real crazy gusty winds. And then by 5 and 6, the actual cold front itself will move through. So take a look. There will be a big temperature drop around 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. 30s in the mountains there. We have 40s and 50s across the Triad at that time. It'll get chilly, and then tomorrow is actually kind of a cool, coldish day. Not terribly cold, of course, but it's more feeling like winter, whereas today really has felt like spring. It'll still be windy tomorrow, by the way. Gusts will be around 20 to 30 miles per hour. Lots of sun, but the temperature is crashing. So obviously the big story is the wind. We talked about what it's doing right now. Let's take a look at what it might be doing over the next couple of hours. Still looking at our computer models here, which are showing basically what we've been seeing. Winds gusting between 30 and 40 so far. They get a little higher than that around midnight to 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. You see right there, that's 1 o'clock, 40 to 45 mile per hour gusts. There's 3 a.m. And then it really does improve. I think it was a good call by some districts to do a 2-hour delay. That's very nice. Foothills should probably be okay without one. But the winds will be letting up a little bit by 7 and by 8. Still, nice to not have to worry about high-profile buses on the roads when it's really windy outside. So those are your forecast wind gusts. Here's the timeline yet again in case I haven't been clear enough. We have that low chance of a thunderstorm. Rain totals, by the way, should be around 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch. So on average, a lot of us probably pick up about 1/2 inch of rainfall with the system. We don't really need to worry about flooding or anything along those lines. I am going to leave up a graphic here, and then I'm going to start looking at your comments because I know I haven't looked at your comments yet, but I can. I'll scroll through them and see what you're saying and answer any questions as I can. There's your wind advisory. This is in effect till 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, and then it'll go away. I'm going to leave up the wind gust graphic right here and scroll through some of your comments. So let's go through it and see what we have to say. I'm going to scroll back to the top and then kind of work my way backwards a little bit. Karen lives close to our News 2 tower in Level Cross, and she says that it sounds like a jet plane. There are these loud howling winds. That is certainly something that a lot of people have been saying. Hey there, Mom. My mom is watching from Florida on a vacation right now. Who else is here? Pretty windy for Janet in Reedsville. Other questions? So it is localized too. So like Deborah's in Reedsville, she says pretty calm at the moment for her. It just depends. Chuck is in Davidson County, and it's quite gusty from time to time there as well. Appreciate all the reports, by the way, everybody. That's good to hear. Karen has a great question. So Karen wants to know, and this is a really good question in case you're worried about a downed tree. What direction will the wind be coming from? So far, we've been seeing the winds coming in from the south. That's basically going to be the direction that we're talking about. Why do you care about this? Well, if the wind is coming from the south and from the southwest, if a tree were to fall, it would likely fall to the north or fall to the northeast. That's the way it's getting pushed. So think about your property, think about where those trees are. They would be getting pushed north or pushed northeast, okay? Now that holds true through at least 4 or 5 a.m., but once the cold front crosses, take a look at our arrows in Mount Airy and Wilkesboro by 6 in the morning, then the wind shifts to be more northerly. So at that point, they will be getting pushed to the south. But at that point, it would be a lighter wind, not as heavy for our area, in which case I wouldn't be as worried about falling trees. But a very good question, and I do think, you know, we're going to continue to see and hear about some downed trees happening. There are already about 500 people in Forsyth County that have lost power. 2,000 in Iredell County, 300 in Wilkes County. We're going to have power outages tonight. I hope we don't have too many, but we're going to have some. That's just going to be what happens. Richard hears it. He's in High Point, says it sounds like a jet engine as well. Ryan Spadaccini, hopefully I said it correctly, my friend. 27 mile per hour gusts there in Burlington so far. So James, gusts are periodic. By definition, sustained wind is constant and a gust is kind of sporadic, right? That's the way it is. Amanda wants to know about severe weather. So we have a level 1 risk of severe thunderstorms. It's pretty low for us. It's much higher other places. Thanks, Curtis. I'll fix that. A lot of strong wind in northern Alamance. We have a lot of comments here. Certainly appreciate this. Severe threat is still low. Yes, it is. I can show you that. A lot of people want to know about severe thunderstorm risks and potential. If you speak weather terminology, we basically have no CAPE, which would mean no instability, which is no fuel for thunderstorms. We really don't have much of that to work with. So the risk of any severe thunderstorms tonight is low. It's not zero, but it is low. Crystal, yes, the wind can still get up to 45 miles per hour at times. That is true. And yes, Ryan, I appreciate the gnome. I still have it, especially the one that you painted with the weather. It's great. Questions on the News 2 Facebook page here. Did Huntsville, Alabama have a tornado? Deborah, I'm not sure about that. I would have to check on that for you. I know it's outside of my local area, so it's not really something I watch super closely. There were several reports and several warnings out that way. It doesn't look like they had one in Huntsville, maybe some downed trees, but there were some reports of tornadoes in the Birmingham area and north of Tuscaloosa as well. High wind gusts, let me see what these reports are showing over here near Gatlinburg and near Knoxville, because this can help us kind of know what we have in for us. These gusts are showing about 58 mile per hour gusts. Keep in mind, these are in the mountains. This is really high up in Sevier County, 78 mile per hour gust up in the mountains, 69 mile per hour gust up in the mountains as well. So there's really high wind. There's just really high wind that's going on. And keep in mind, these places out in Tennessee, they had thunderstorms as well, which even make it windier. I still feel pretty good about our forecast of 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts for the triad going into tonight. Never fails. Someone's always going to ask about snow. Jose wants to know about snow. Do I think we're done for the season? Not necessarily, but a little secret for you. Nobody knows if we're going to get any more snow. We still have like 4 weeks of winter. No one knows yet. We aren't going to get any this week, I can tell you that. Other questions? Faye has some big wind up in Pelham and Caswell County. Other questions? So it seems like Anita had a situation with her storm door. The wind blew it open. Handle got busted apart. Not good. And that's going to be something you're going to have to mend overnight tonight. You're kind of keep it the way it is. Very good idea, if you haven't already, to secure any outdoor objects. You know, I have porch furniture, you know, fire pit, stuff like that that can blow all around. And I have to do that ahead of time. I did it earlier today to make sure it wouldn't be getting too bad. Trash cans, things like that. If it was your trash day, make sure those are in as well. Anastasia in Hillsborough over in Orange County has high wind gusts blowing stuff around, a little nerve-wracking for her. And this is, there's really nothing that, in a situation like this, I totally understand storm anxiety, weather anxiety. There's nothing I can tell you that's going to make you feel totally at ease. I can't tell you that we're not going to have downed trees, because we probably will have some. I can't tell you we're not going to have power outages, because we'll probably have some of those too. that's natural to be anxious. It's natural to be a little spooked and scared about that. We've seen this in recent, memory. Back in January, we had another high wind night, pretty similar to this one on January 2nd and January 3rd, I believe. And that's going to keep it, that's going to keep us a little bit on edge. And it is going to be an unpleasant night. But hopefully you're already doing the right thing by seeking out the forecast info, and you're in good shape by knowing what you're in for. So hopefully that can put you at ease a little bit. And we'll get through it, It'll be over in a couple of hours, and we'll all be all right. But just make sure you're taking care of yourself as we get through this. There's a look at your winds yet again. Someone asked for the Futurecast to be shown yet again. We can certainly plop that up there for you. Winds are still whipping. They're probably going to get a little bit stronger through midnight and then stay that strong way through about 4 a.m. Futurecast, I know the question was for Rocky Mount, so I'll zoom in. Ignore the clustered text there. So Rocky Mount, whatever the question was, you're probably going to have some of your gustiest winds between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. And the rain would be done by around 8 a.m. So a little bit different from our area over in Rocky Mount. Thanks for the question. There's your cold front. The front itself is actually already pushed through Nashville and places like that. They're seeing snowflakes and flurries moving through Clarksville, Tennessee. Kind of crazy. Bowling Green, Kentucky, having some snow right now as well. Debbie, will it be similar to the windstorm we had back in January? Yeah, it seems like it. It seems to be playing out about the same way right now. Dwayne has a 38-mile-per-hour gust up in Stokes County. So a lot of people have storm anxiety. If anyone has any tips on how to combat storm anxiety, please put them in the chat. Whatever works for you. I'm not really sure what works for you. Maybe it's staying informed. Maybe it's, having the TV on loud, earplugs, someone said. Whatever is your best option, go for it. Jose, that camera is actually on a tower in downtown Burlington. LabCorp owns it, so there's a LabCorp flag. Yeah. Susan, I've been mentioning everything for our area. Archdale and Asheboro are absolutely included. This is not a situation where every town is going to have different weather. We're all pretty much going to have the same weather. We're all going to have those high winds and gusty rains. So we're all in the same boat. We're all in this together here with this kind of situation. Yeah, if you're in a mobile home surrounded by pine trees, it might be a good idea to sleep with a friend tonight, or going to, stay with a family member. Some sort of a more sturdy structure is probably a good idea, I would say. Azaria, that's good to hear. Thank you. Dale, I agree as well. It's not as good when it's dark. Threat is still the same, but we don't like it when it's dark. Just a couple more live looks here. I'm going to have to put this away after another 5 minutes here because I have to get ready for our 11 o'clock news. But just so you know, I'm going to be here at the station until 2 in the morning. The storm doesn't end there. I realize that, but Christian Morgan will be kind of taking over at that point. I can't guarantee we're going to be here on the video all the time, but we will have more videos and we will have more updates just to kind of keep you informed and also to, help keep us awake and engaged and all those things. But I think it's helpful. I think it's appreciated, and certainly want you to help. Just know that we are looking out for you. Quite literally, that's our job. And we'll be here. Just to reiterate, things should start to improve. Doesn't help your sleep. Things should start to improve around 5 and 6 in the morning. Doesn't help. Doesn't help your sleep. There's your Futurecast yet again. Rain starts to come to mostly an end by around 4. Brenda's going to cry if the power goes out. You know what, though? I mean, at least we're, by the way, reminder, charge up your phones, charge up computers, all those things. At least we're in a situation here where it's not terribly cold outside. If you do lose power, hopefully they get it back on for you tomorrow. It's not no one's going to freeze. It's not terribly cold. That's good stuff. And it's much different nowadays when you have a cell phone you can still use. I find that helpful when I've lost power for a couple of days as well. Jim is asking about the tornado threat. Yeah, so, the tornado threat is not really something we're worried about for North Carolina. There is a tornado risk still well to our west. Sorry, let me just load this graphic properly. There was a question about tornadoes. So this is your tornado risk. It's mostly only for Tennessee and Alabama. I know it says Friday. It's not for Friday. It's for tonight. So we're not really worried about that. We're mostly worried about just high winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour, which really is not that big of a deal if it's just happening quickly. It is a bigger deal if it happens for 6 to 8 hours. And when that happens, you can kind of have a sustained threat, and you can get bigger impacts than you would otherwise as well. Chuck is having some margaritas, it seems. Turning on a fan, that is very helpful as well. I think that's true. Other questions? All right, well, I certainly appreciate y'all. Thank you for letting me know what you're seeing across the area. We're going to have updated information at 11 o'clock as well. We'll be live for you there on the newscast. You can always watch us on TV. You can watch us via antenna for free. You buy an antenna for $30, you get free TV for the rest of your life. It's a really good thing to do. If you don't have cable, you can also stream us. We have a Roku app, which I use at home to watch our news. It's great. It's free. If you have Roku, you just search News 2, and there it is. Same idea for Amazon Fire Stick. You can watch us free on those as well. Also, we're on the phone. We got the app. We got the website. We got Facebook. We got YouTube. We got the old stuff. We're everywhere, just to help you keep informed about the weather, at least, which is something that affects each and every one of us. Jennifer, what's the high temperature tomorrow? It's backwards, so it's 65 at midnight, and then the temperature falls throughout the day. We'll be in the 40s and 50s most of the daytime on your Friday. Take care, be good, and I'll see you later.